Hey, what's up, YouTube? Here I am at home, have my day off work, and I wasn't gonna make a video tonight because I figured why just ramble about nothing and just to put out a video every day. But the night's coming to an end, and I did think of something um, that I thought I should address. So one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, how do I become an armed security guard? As a matter of fact, my best YouTube video that gets the most hits happens to be how to become an armed guard. Um, I get that question asked a lot. And the more I talk to people about that aspect of security, the more I find out, and this is just being serious, man. The more I find out people just want to carry a gun because they feel it's cool, and in some regards, there's a lot of truth to that. I know that when I have my sidearm on me, I'm like, wow, I got a gun on me. This is kind of cool. But with that gun, you have to understand comes great responsibility. That gun, just to reiterate, is not there to scare anybody or intimidate somebody or get somebody to follow your commands when they don't listen to you. By no means should that gun ever come out the holster. And when I say ever, even if you got somebody or another guard that says, "Hey, what kind of gun you got there? What are you packing? Let me take a look." You never want to pull it out and show them. That thing never comes out. It stays in the holster, and that's it. The only time that I take my gun out of the holster is every morning when I put my gear on. I just double check to make sure that everything is functional. I make sure it's clean. I make sure that my rounds are facing the right direction, right? But the reality is, it never comes out the holster, and it hopefully never will. So yeah, I just find that a lot of people want to become an armed guard just for the sake of having a gun on their hip. And let me tell you guys, the longer you become an armed guard, the more you realize that it is such a hassle to pull that gun out unless it is absolutely necessary. I mean, let's just think for the second. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid you ever shoot somebody with that gun. Hopefully it's justified. But even if it's justified, you can imagine the legal fallout that comes after you shoot that person. You're going to be asked every second in the world. Every aspect of your life will be scrutinized, from who you hang out with to YouTube videos you might have out there, right? They might try to find something in your YouTube video that would suggest you're trigger happy. And then there's the whole consequence of doing that. I mean, regardless if this person tried to end your life and in self-defense you shot them back, you got to have that on your hands for the rest of the life that you killed somebody. And again, there are people out there that justifiably shoot somebody to save their life or the life of others, but they would have to be a pretty cold human being to not at least occasionally think about that person that they shot and wonder if they could have done it differently, or feel regrets for that matter. Or it could even just mess them up psychologically. They could be like, wow, I can't believe I took the life of somebody. So that's a pretty heavy weight to carry for the rest of your life. Of course, there's the other side, you make a few extra dollars carrying that sidearm, but is it worth it? I mean, here, do the math really quick. Let's assume, and I'm just talking from past experience at other companies, by getting my firearm, I only made $2 an hour extra, right? And that was only $2 an hour extra if they put me on an armed site. That I didn't know. So let's say that they put me on an unarmed site. I went back down to minimum wage. And then the day that they said, hey, we're going to put you on an armed site, then I started making $15 an hour. And then the days that I wasn't on an armed site, I'd be at 13. So I thought by becoming armed, I will always be making that $15 an hour. What I didn't realize is no, you only get paid armed pay if you are on an armed site, which is not every day. And I'm not speaking for every company. I'm just talking from past experience. And I'm not going to tell you if it's my first, third, or fourth company that I worked with because I want to put anybody on blast. The truth is, every company I've worked for has been decent. I have really nothing bad to say about any company that I have worked for. As a matter of fact, it's been an experience. And they hired you. And if they hired you, that means they trust you and, forever in their debt for that. But it's sometimes not worth the money. So you have to pay, I'm just throwing out a number out there which has some accuracy to it. You pay $500 for the class to become armed, and there's this paperwork that you got to go through and all this time, right? Then you have to buy your firearm anywhere from $600 to $1,000. So now you're, $1,500 in debt. Every 6 months you need to requalify. That's gonna cost you range time. You're gonna have to take that class to become recertified every 6 months. Let's assume that's $100. In the interim, you're not gonna not go to the gun range. You have to practice. I mean, if you want to be proficient in that tool that you carry on your side, you need to practice. I'll tell you right now that every time I go to the range, it is never cheaper than $60, right? You got to pay $20 to use the lane. Then you got to bring roughly 2 boxes of ammunition, which are $20 a box. So that's $40 there. So now we're up at $60. And if you stay more than an hour, they charge you more. So you'll never pay less than $60 per visit. And in most cases, it's going to be more, right? And if you do this multiple times in that 6 month span, you're looking at $500 a year just requalifying. So now you're making $2 an hour and extra to carry this gun. All that money that you just made carrying the firearm, you're spending it in maintenance, in range time, in requalifying, in the cost of the actual firearm, the holster, the bullets. It all adds up. And I sat here and did some of the math work, and I realized, crap, I'm actually, at the end of the day, not really making that much extra money having a firearm. You really aren't. And then you're putting a liability on yourself. Like I said, if I can't say it enough, God forbid you have to use that firearm, you're in court, man. You better have yourself a good lawyer ponied up. Even if it was not your fault, even if it was in self-defense, you're going to still need some sort of defense, right? You're going to have somebody representing you. This thing can go south. You've got people that have shot people in self-defense, and they're still faced with civil lawsuits. And if you don't know what a civil lawsuit is, look it up. The short of it is you're going to be sued for everything you own. So, again, guys, as awesome as it may seem to have a firearm, the reality is it's a huge responsibility. You're not going to make as much as you think at the end of the day after you take all your classes and courses and recertify every 6 months and practice at the range, right? And then you have that responsibility of carrying this firearm on you. You are more likely to get shot if you have a firearm on you, believe it or not, than if you don't. That's a statistic. You're more likely to commit suicide if you have a gun in your house. You're more likely to be shot in your house if you own a firearm. These are some things to think about. So although having a firearm is a great tool, it is not always the best tool. I've got a video called The Top 10 Security Guard Weapons. Look it up. You'll find that one of my least favorite weapons of everything in there is a firearm, just because of that responsibility that comes with it. All right, guys. So I know it sounded kind of bleak, but I keep having people from the comments or just on the street ask me, "Hey, man, how do you become an armed guard?" And I'm like, "Well, why do you want to become an armed guard?" I don't know, man. I just want to have a gun on me. And it's like, well, get a concealed carry permit if you want a gun on you. And then they don't realize that when you get that permit, or at least in California, the open carry, that's only from home to work and back. You can't be going to the restaurant with that gun. You can't be stopping at gas stations to fill up on the way to work. I mean, once you got that gun on you, you got to go straight to your job site and come right back. You can't just goof around and go against BSIS rules, which suggest that you don't make any sort of pit stops. Or matter of fact, the BSIS rules say that theoretically you should, right after work, you go straight home, and it should take you an hour. You should be home within an hour after your shift. Look it up, double check for me, because I'm pretty sure that's the rule. I might have read it incorrectly, but from what I understand, they say within 1 hour of your shift ending, you should be home and that gun should be secured. All right, guys, so before I end this, I'm thinking of doing one of these live streams. Let me know what you think about that. We can pick a time and a date, and we can just have people on here and answer questions and just talk about anything. That brings me up to another question. Do you want me just coming on here occasionally, just talking about anything, current politics, hobbies, things I'm into? And last, I'm thinking about making a video, and I kind of feel like you guys are going to be on board with this, but I'm thinking about making a video called "The Day in the Life of a Security Guard." I'm going to start the video from when I wake up in the morning, go through the entire day, all the way up until I clock out and go to bed at night, so you can see exactly what a day of being a armed guard is all about. So just let me know in the comments. I certainly do appreciate everybody that supports me. That includes my loved ones and my best friend, and just people in general who are just really encouraging. Chasing Mr. Hamilton, you're out there. He's a truck driver. He's got an amazing YouTube channel. I don't care anything about trucks, but he's such a inspirational guy, and he's such a funny guy that I watch all of his videos on truck driving just because, he's just that funny. He's just that cool. But he motivated me. Matter of fact, there was kind of a hidden story in all of this. I actually wanted to get into being a security guard partly because of him, because he's always talking about making money and starting up a business and getting another business going, and I'm like, yeah, I would like, this guy's really a go-getter and motivational in his actions. And I start thinking, you know what, I might want to start another business. And just watching his videos and how he works 70 hours a week, and I'm like, damn, dude, this guy really is a go-getter. I should be doing the same thing. So he just sort of motivated me. So that's just sort of a side note. But again, just let me know in the comments what you think. On my list here, I'm looking at getting some better lighting equipment, maybe a camera that can record a little better. This phone can actually record pretty good, but I'm using the selfie mode so I can see myself. But I would like to be able to flip it around and then use the actual 14 megapixel lens that can record in 4K. But then I can't see myself, right? And it's not that I care to see myself. I just want to make sure that I'm framed. Otherwise, half my video I'm going to be, talking like this. Maybe when I get off here, I'll look online to see if there's like another external screen I can have, so that I can maybe, I don't know, have it on the side of the phone or something. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. I wish the best to you. Questions, comments, please ask, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, right? Be safe out there. Know your worth.